Hello, you're welcome to Moment for Thought. Today, we're going to have a discussion on Nigeria, the land of many countries, the land of many bounties and common historical antecedents. Certainly, for one to appreciate this great nation, one fundamental thing to do is perhaps to assimilate and appreciate the great bounties this country is endowed with. The tremendous raw materials, physical, and of course the human resource that makes up what Nigeria is, what Nigeria should be, and to have a rethink, bring the past to reflect on it, appreciate the present for the projection of the future. This discussion is hovering around Nigeria at 61, a nation in perspective. I am Aliyu Bababaro. You're welcome. In the studio, I have with me distinguished Nigerians who are here to examine the nation in perspective from perhaps the beginning of its sovereign status to today, the nation's socio-political experience, the economy, and the social system generally. I have with me in the studio Professor Nuhu Yakub, former Vice Chancellor, University of Abuja, and former Vice Chancellor, Sokoto State University. Professor Nuhu Yakubu is an officer of the Order of the Federal Republic and, of course, fellow Nigerian Institute of Management. He is a professor of political science and is with the grassroots, that is talking about the traditional authority. Not only within his own enclave he found himself as a Nigerian today, but because he's appreciated all over Nigeria. In faraway Ondo State, he's Fima Boye of Owo Kingdom. And you welcome the Fima Boye.
Thank you very much.
Yes. I have our own, he's a medical doctor, but now he's a media man. He's the Dr. Chidi Amadwekwe. He's the managing director, Nigerian Film Corporation. As I said, a medical doctor by profession. He too is a Dikechendu or Hafia one. It rhymes with his profession. Somebody, the custodians of our health and our life. As they said, doctors, our lives are in your hands. You are in the right place. You're welcome, sir.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much. Take a look at the first step of the discussion from the point of view of historical perspective. As a political scientist and with lots of studies in Nigeria's history, governmental development, to so many aspects of Nigeria, they said politics is a platform for reconciliation of interest. Mm-hmm. And democracy, as Abraham Lincoln said, is for the people, by the people, and of the people, something like that. Yeah, but reconciling interest. How do you see Nigeria in perspective? Let's begin from the root. When the nation gained its sovereign status in 1960, the founding fathers of this great nation, their projection for the future of this great nation, how will you examine that against the backdrop of the country in perspective today at 61?
At 61?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think in a sense, this country is lucky.
Lucky?
Lucky, yes. Why do I say it's lucky? It's the fact that, if we go back in history, about 100 years before the Europeans came,
Yeah.
good. Of course, there was still a level of interaction among the different groups
Yes.
in what now constitutes Nigeria, but it was not formalized. I mean, either people were conducting wars against one another, or even or you have different communities interacting on the basis of trade,
Yes.
marriage, and diplomacy. This historically has been established.
Yes.
In fact, when people now talk about as if we're total strangers to one another, it baffles me, because probably such people might not have read history, or will not even appreciate certain dynamics that took place before the coming of the white man. But be that as it may, at the point that Nigeria was conceived of, if you look at, there were several stages.
Yes.
The acquisition of the colony of Lagos, 1861, to the eventual, occupation of the Niger Delta or the, Niger Coast,
Yes.
protectorate, and before, it was extended to the northern, protectorate. Yeah, you discover that, the momentum, was such that nobody, as I said, 100 years earlier, nobody would have, thought, that kind of development will take place.
Yes.
But it did take place. And here we are today. Even if you take it from the point of view of the year of amalgamation, 1914.
14 years.
Yes, we are talking of not less than 100 years we have been together. So when I hear people talking about, Nigeria is already divided, and I begin to wonder, what is this division? What is the color of this division we are talking about? Is it the natural, forms? When I say natural, ethnic differences is natural. We cannot rule that out.
Yes.
Is it about religion, religious differences, and so on and so on? But in terms of politics of, oneness,
Yes.
from 1914 to date, we are now talking of about, 107 years. And somebody was still talking about, and in fact, what has even happened within this period is that Nigerians have intermarried, in the project context, and it is still going on. We now have institution of governance,
Yes.
that melts us together, and then you have other other structures or other facilities that bring us together. I just imagine now, if you are going to travel to Lagos from Abuja, especially in the context of the contemporary security challenges we have,
Yes.
you go and take a flight from Abuja, you may likely board aircraft. That aircraft is owned by a Nigerian who is not, it can't just be said that he is, he belongs to everywhere.
Everywhere, yes.
No, he doesn't. He will still have his own ethnic identity. But by the time, he packed the passengers into his plane, we're talking of one Nigeria. Nobody, because, if we are flying, we are all flying together to Lagos. So I now, say that there are so many things that bind us together on every single moment. Every second, certain things bind us together.
Yes.
So we do not have to mystify or debunk, such dynamics that
yes.
we cannot avoid. So that's the way I see Nigeria. Yes, somebody will say there are challenges. Nobody will deny that. But there are also, we have our comfort zones. I've just talked about, the issue of marriage. As I'm talking to you now, my wife is Yoruba. I'm not Yoruba. And we have given birth to children. Our children speak Hausa more than any other, any of our languages.
Yes, yes.
So, at the end of the day, how do they define themselves? Will they say they are not? They will say they are Nigerians.
They are Nigerians.
They are
yes,
Nigerians.
Of course.
So
yes.
there are these dynamics that are taking place every second.
I think I'm very, very interested in that dynamic.
Yes.
That you're talking about. Let me go to Dr. Maduekwe.
That's right.
Nigeria in perspective, you see, the diversity that makes us unique is a strength that makes us unite in an amalgam of one nation, one destiny. Do you agree to that against the backdrop of what Prof is saying?
I certainly very much agree that the diversity is our strength. The challenge is how do we manage this diversity so that our strength can be brought to the forefront. In which case, we are talking about Nigeria at 60. We may therefore want to rewind and say, from 1960, when we had independence, to 2021, when we are celebrating the first year of our independence, how have we managed our diversity? Are we where we expect to be, where we should be, where we expect that our diversity should have led us to be? We all witness to what happens with the American and the Canadian immigration system, where they say the more they dilute their purity in terms of wide diversity, the more they reinvent themselves, the more they interrogate themselves, and the more they bring about a new narrative as to who they are, so that they're always on the cutting edge of being the leaders of the world. To what extent are we applying such a paradigm to our own diversity? If you look at where we were in Nigeria, maybe in 1960 when we became independent, you will, of course, agree with me that we were more united in the 60s than we are presently. Then the honest thing would be to interrogate ourselves as to what would have, led to this over the years, and what can we be able to do in order to retrace our steps backward and not to be at the precipice where probably instead of our diversity being a blessing, it becomes a curse. Just like when the black gold was supposed to be a blessing, it became the curse, the black curse, as the case may be. We are not supposed to allow such scenarios to continuously repeat itself. We are not continuously now come around and say, oh, the leaders are to be blamed. We are the followers. So a system may not likely produce a different leadership that is not part of what the society is capable of producing. So in that case, you find out that to the extent that we are losing thought of who we are as friends, look at the beautiful story the Prof just told us now. Wife is a Yoruba. The children are speaking more Hausa than either Yoruba or his own private descent. So you find out that the children are the typical example of what Nigeria is supposed to be, where you see yourself, first of all, as a Nigerian, and you walk tall to say, I am a Nigerian. The children are not likely going to feel they are Yoruba, they are from Ibuda, or as the case may be. They want to see themselves as Nigerians, and they walk tall with that Nigerian flag. Now, how are we replicating this all over so that it won't just be a flash in the pan, it won't just be a fluke, happening in one family or in one location, but it could have been a national agenda, a national identity. I think that's the same kind of thing that is happening in Rwanda, where people in Rwanda see themselves first and foremost as Rwandese. They don't see themselves as Hutu now or as Tutsi, as the case may be. Do we have to go the Rwanda way, massacre ourselves? Haven't we killed ourselves enough that we should learn lesson and know that we don't need to go the whole hog? We are 200 million people, so there's no way we can compare ourselves with what happened in Rwanda as a prescription as to the way to go before we identify ourselves as Nigerians. So I want to say that we have not done well, because we are better off in 1960 than we are today, And as followers, again, we have not followed well. We have not learned the basic, intricacies that are there for us to be our brother's keeper. If we're able to be our brother's keeper, definitely we'll enjoy the diversity, because we realize that when we are doing business, I can have a business partner from Medugri, and I will have good business with him. I will, if it's to share the money, particularly, money obtained in other surreptitious manner, I will share with my Borno State friend, and there will be no question of whether he's a Muslim and I'm a Christian, or whether I'm from the East or he's from the North, because we have a common agenda to share the money in any party platform. So we are at peace. So why can't we understand that as Nigerians, we should be able to look at ourselves as Nigerians, and so our diversity will be used to build us as a one united country.
Yes, what I could get from what you've said, you said the leadership of a nation is a reflection of that society.
Thank you.
Prof, that is it. And actually, how do Nigerians behave? How do we really like ourselves? How are we patriotic in nature, individually and in group? Or we have intense regionalism still visiting us, tribalism, nepotism, and what have you. Is it reflections of, is the leadership reflection of that, or those people in authority? I remember when Mr. President was sworn in, he says, I belong to nobody and I belong to everybody. And from his conduct, you could see, you can decipher. But institutions make up a nation, make up leadership, not just the individual. How do we deal with that?
Yeah, I think it's we need to go back to history to learn, how other, diverse entities have been able to accommodate themselves, and have placed premium on, the national identity or national consciousness.
Yes.
Do you know that in the whole world you can't get up to 20 countries that are single nations? You can't. So which means that over the globe we have over 200, different nations, as members of the UN, for instance. So it means that the bulk of nation states are multi-ethnic, multicultural.
Yes.
And in some places there is accommodation of one another, to the extent that you do not have, people who will be talking of either, a breakout of the country, or the need to, disaggregate ourselves.
Yes.
So I think we need to learn lessons from such, different countries that have been able to study. I have traveled extensively in Africa. I went to South Africa one day, and I was discussing with a South African, and I said, what is your ethnic background? And he said, no, we don't talk about ethnic background here in South Africa. We talk about the South African nation.
Yes.
And yet they have Zulu, they have Xhosa,
Bantu,
and so on and so forth. I also went to Ghana. One day I was also discussing, because, I anytime I travel, I go with the heavy burden of how do we get inclusiveness in my country. So when I go to a country that is as diverse as, not as diverse, but it's also diverse, like Nigeria, I ask this question. And the Ghanaians will not tell you that they are Ewe or Asante. No, they will rather say, I'm a Ghanaian. So we have this problem of how to actually, go beyond our immediate ethnic, cocoons, in order to embrace the national identity.
yes.
I was watching, there used to be a program, this Point Blank, that Tony Iradia
Yes.
used to host. And one day, he invited, late Senator Abraham Adesanya. as a guest. And the first statement that came from his guest was that I consider myself an Ijebu man first, before I call myself a Yoruba man. And thirdly, before I regard myself as a Nigerian.
The Nigerian.
I really found that. In fact, that day I was just itching. How I wish this was an interactive program.
Yes.
I would have asked thrown a question to him. Did he have Ijebu passport or Ijebu currency?
It's a Nigerian
It's
passport.
a Nigerian passport will have
Yes.
Nigerian currency. So I think that there are institutions or there are mechanisms that are available to all of us to now say we are Nigerian. And let's even list some of these things. I mean, there used to be what is called the federal government colleges,
Yes, please.
which are institutions that creatively the first prime minister set up. Balewa said, let's try and integrate Nigerians. And that institution, when it functioned very well, was able to produce people who are thinking beyond their ethnic backgrounds. Federal government colleges now, nobody even thinks about.
We are coming to the educational elite.
Yeah, I'm just even listing,
Yes.
institutions or structures.
Those ones that are meant for what we have today is only the NYC.
It's even being challenged now.
Yes, you trying to see how unthinkable that could be.
Yeah,
To challenge why should NYC continue to exist.
exactly.
That it doesn't contribute anything. It's not meant, the contribution of NYC perhaps, we were not discussing NYC, it was a good example when we are talking about the nation. The contribution of NYC is beyond material gains.
Yeah.
Is national integration and what have you.
Yeah.
I think we will continue with the discussion, but we'll chip in something for just 1 minute. Then if you will oblige us to have, because Nigeria is a very big country, if you oblige us to come back for the subsequent edition, but chip it something from what the Prof said. Just 1 minute, sir.
Yeah.
I know as a journalist you can be controlled.
The challenge still remains how we can have that understanding that we are Nigerians. And I think where the narrative now is that many people have this element of trust. So if trust has been instilled into various ethnic or regional or religious divide in the country, then this is the hour and time to come with mechanisms that will build trust, that will help to get people together, so that when they're together they can now start understanding that they are Nigerians first and foremost. So trust, building trust is very important. Whatever mechanism that has to be in place so that that trust can now be built and need to be pursued as if it were yesterday.
Yes, the issue of trust is very fundamental. Thank you very much, Dr. Chidi Amaduakwe, for honoring our invitation. And Professor Nuhu Yakub, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Yes, I know once a teacher, always one. And thank you for your tremendous contribution too.
Thank you.
We hope we'll continue with this discussion. We've just scratched it. We're going into the nitty-gritty. We have, you have the time to oblige NTA again to continue with this discussion, because 1st October, continue up to the end of October. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm Aliyu Baba Baro. There has been moment for thoughts talking about Nigeria at 6-1. What a period of maturity to examine this country. We hope you followed up to this particular time, and when they say you show the light and people will find the way, we hope to do that. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Fellow compatriots, if no single tribe or religion has defeated poverty, then no single tribe or religion can develop Nigeria. The success story of every state and capital is the contribution of every tribe and religion. Our Nigeria no be wazobia. No majorities or minorities. Every tribe and every religion still dey hustle for naira when no get tribe or religion. So, my country people, let's join this movement that says naira no get tribe and use the naira to develop our naira land. Citizens first. Citizens before state of origin. Citizens before your religion. Citizens before your ethnic belonging. For participation, call 0902 739 5555.
NTA Tuesday Live, analytical, in-depth, educative and interactive on national issues accommodating all sides of opinions.
We as a people have understood that we have to fight corruption before it fights us back.
Poverty has a financial index, so it should be fought also with a financial weapon. Give it to the social investments program. It has been a very courageous battle.
Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Join us.